Welcome guys to episode 2 of the trading challenge between my two favorite boomers Bart and Eelco, who are competing for 2 tickets to FC Barcelona with one of their kids. Both starting on BitGet, executing their trades with Teal Street with a $250 starting balance, taking only 1 trade a week on the asset that I decide for them. And this week the asset is going to be Bitcoin. This week they're gonna improve. Am I right, guys?
Definitely, man.
Gonna win this week.
Super excited to see the results. I wish you guys a lot of luck next week.
See you there.
Okay, guys. It is Wednesday, 9th of April, and I am playing here the New York Open reversal trade setup from Follies. It's one of the trades I have in my toolkit. I'm still experimenting with it. You know, I feel like this Eminem song. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. That's how I feel right now. Again, I have a whopping $1.80 potential loss on the line. I see there is some liquidity below us, equal lows from last night. We are in this manipulation hour, first hour of New York. Often they reverse after that hour. I hope the bears are strong. If not, we'll see. But we're very close to stopping out. Trade is running. These are Easter bunnies, but I need Easter bears because I need price to drop. But actually it's flirting quite a lot with my stop loss right now. What they often say is set the trade and forget. Hell no, I'm looking on my screen every 2 minutes. Anyway, let's see what the trade does.
It's Sunday the 13th of April and the first proper week of training for both Bart and Eelco has been concluded. Bart, I don't want to waste any of our time because I believe you have had a pretty successful week. What's the current status of your trading account? Did you take a trade on Bitcoin?
Yes, most definitely I took a trade. I can show you this already. In hindsight, it was a rather uptrending market. The balance I'm watching now is a positive one, $252.73.
There we go.
Which is $2 closer to comp now. I took a short. I can show you what I did.
Yes, please show me the chart.
The short that I took was this one. It was on Wednesday. And I've been practicing a little bit with the New York reversal from Follies. I thought let's give that a go, and here is the result. So how he explains it in his video is basically if you have a daily open and New York open, so then he marks out the daily open and the daily lows of highs and lows. Many times the New York open first move is a fake move. There's a lot of manipulation going on. Pumping on New York open is the most bearish thing that you can imagine. Indeed, New York Open pushed higher, taking that daily open liquidity.
Daily high liquidity you mean, right?
Sorry, indeed. It took the daily high and then it was a matter of observing the low time frame price action, see if there's a sign of weakness. But it went down, luckily, and my target was the liquidity curve, which wasn't the best liquidity curve because there was clearly demand. I was targeting the equal lows at the bottom of the range.
Okay.
But it didn't go there. Price was stalling right here. And then obviously this was some sort of demand area here. It bounced from it. And right at this point where the circle is, I thought, okay, I don't see the follow through that I wanted. Let's better get the hell out of here. Then it pumped into Valhalla basically.
How much did you risk on this position?
1%. I'm very conservative here. So that's the trade.
Alright, thank you for sharing your trade. There is a few things that I personally am seeing and that I personally would also do differently. I wouldn't really recommend you and Eelco to trade the 1 minute time frame. I would really stick to the 15-minute time frame or even higher. Trading the same strategy on the 1 minute as on the 15-minute time frame will have a big difference in win rate. Obviously on the 1 minute, more setups will present themselves. So if you take all the setups on the 1 minute based on the same system as you would take on the 15-minute, overall the results could be the same. But at the end of the day, as we know, the big thing that you and Eelco are struggling with is the psychology of trading. Now by trading the 15-minute rather than a 1 minute, I can promise you guys that your win rate will be a lot higher. Also, I'm forcing you guys to only take 1 setup a week. So the 15-minute time frame is a perfect time frame to trade. By having a higher win rate, it's much easier to keep your psychology and your discipline in check. Now the second thing, you enter the trade over here on the 1 minute time frame upon the sweep of the daily high. In my opinion, just sweeping the daily high and seeing a pump during the New York Open can never ever be a trigger to enter a short position right over here with your stop loss above the daily high targeting lower levels. Why? Because market structure or structure in general is not giving you any trigger, any confirmation that the trend might shift to the downside or that we might see a reversal to the downside. So even if you were to trade a potential fake New York Open pump and sweep of the daily high, I would always wait for some kind of break of structure to the downside first. Now, as I said, I wouldn't do that on a 1 minute time frame. I would have done that on the 5 minute time frame. So if you analyze the 5 minute structure, we can see that over here we saw a market structure flip, then we formed a higher low, and this higher low brought us to this higher high. So if you wanted to play this setup, you wanted to see a break of structure over here on the 5 minute time frame, and then potentially play the lower high over here with your stop loss above the new daily high, and then targeting that liquidity to the downside over here, and over here, as you said. Now that could have been a short setup that you could have taken. On the other hand, you were talking about a New York Open pump that often turns out to be a fake out. Something that I've been seeing a lot lately during the New York sessions is that, let's say these are the first few hours of the New York session, this time period over here. Something that we see a lot, in my opinion, lately is that if you have New York Open and price, for example, was trading towards the upside like this and putting in a fake break of structure over here, often what we see at some point, like 30 minutes, 1 hour into the New York Open, is that price sees an aggressive flush to the downside to take out the stops beneath this low, and then it traps a lot of people into shorts over here. So a lot of people think, okay, we are breaking structure to the downside, I'm shorting, putting my stop above the high of the New York session, targeting lower levels. What it then does a lot over the past few weeks and months, and I've been trading this a lot as well, as you can see in the community, is that price starts trading back above the high over here and then starts consolidating and squeezing towards higher targets. Now this is something that if you want to trade a New York session, because those are often the hours that you have the ability to trade and have some spare time and that kind of stuff, this is a setup that I would rather take over the potential first reversal setup. So a lot of people, you included, would take this short setup over here. I would actually wait and see if price can trade back above the high over here, and as long as your target is also towards the upside, then you have yourself a beautiful potential long idea. For example, we saw something very similar on Friday where price broke structure to the downside during the New York session, but if we look at a 15-minute time frame, in my opinion, we were looking at a fake break of structure over here. So I could see this swing failure. I could see that a lot of people over here got trapped into shorts and put their stop loss above the daily high and targeted lower levels, which is why I added a second long position on Bitcoin over here, remember, putting my stop loss below the New York session low, as my drawn liquidity on Bitcoin was also still towards higher targets. So I added another long position and I hit my take profit on Saturday. I wouldn't say that this was a lucky setup, but I would definitely say that in my opinion, there are better setups out there that you could have taken. I'm especially happy with the fact that you only took one trade and that the account is in profit. But in my opinion, the process is a lot more important to me for you rather than the actual results. I think you can do better with the knowledge that you have. I hope that you can improve that during the next trading week.
I see what you mean, and I have to disappoint you again then, because it's not just the emotions I'm struggling with, also the system or setup, if you will, which is probably even a little bit worse.
I think a good way to start building your system is to start every week and also every day with figuring out a bias for yourself. So without looking at my weekly open stream or without having my bias influence your bias, you, for example, only want to look for longs if you think that the price of the asset is going to trade higher for the day and week. I think if you figure out that bias and trade the 50-minute time frame or above, wait for structure to confirm a reversal that aligns with your bias, and in that case you've also already found yourself an invalidation, then all that's left is basically to execute a trade. That is the foundation of your system, and you execute that for a few weeks and months. Then from there we are going to refine your edge.
I hear what you say, and let me digest it and go at it again.
And what about you, Eelco? Did you make me proud as well, just like Bart, with a profitable trade?
Yeah, for sure, yep. I did had a profitable trade for $1 profit. I am on a holiday. I can't share my screen, but I did send some screenshots to you, Yip. I guess you've got them, right?
Yes, sir. As you can see right here on the screen, you can see the profit P&L screenshot. You obviously told me that you gained $1, which means that both you and Bart Eelco are actually in profit right now. I don't think if this is like beginner's luck, but it's definitely something that is making me very happy. So let's not waste any more time and quickly look at a trade that you took yourself as well. So as far as I can see on my chart right now, I can see that you took 2 different positions. Is that correct?
No, well, it was kind of a fuck up from my side. As you can see, I draw 2 longs in this chart.
Yes.
I was willing to take the first one, but unfortunately I made a mistake. It's as simple as that. So looked at the chart once again and I saw a second option, a second position I could take. That one I took, and that's the P&L card you just saw.
Okay, awesome. And what was kind of your reasoning for taking that second trade? Because I can see the first trade was pretty nice, right? You marked out that breaker block inside of the bullish imbalance, the bullish fair value gap. And you tried to long the bullish reaction off of the breaker block. And the second trade, I think I took a similar trade as well, actually. But I'm kind of curious to see why you took that trade.
I saw a break of structure which offered me an opening position. Don't know quite the reason why, I guess. I didn't took it in the journal.
Okay, no worries, because obviously the boomer that you are, you have a lot of other stuff on your plate always.
Sure.
So sometimes it's hard to journal and to remember all of your trades. I think that is also where the improvement lies, right? For the both of you, to really get a proper system and kind of figure out why you take certain trades and not just blindly hop into a trade a week.
Let's be honest, journaling is part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think journaling is extremely important. I think also when we talk about like triggers and a proper trading system on itself, I think for you and Bart it's very important that you simply go back to the foundation and go back to the basics, which means that you always want to look for triggers based off market structure and liquidity. Start really using those 2 concepts and mastering those 2 concepts from now on, so that the next time that I see that you took a trade and we review that trade, that you can exactly explain to me why you got the trigger, to really know when you are allowed, according to your system, to look for trades. I think that is really where the difficulty lies for you guys, if I'm correct.
True. Yeah, that's totally true.
At the end of the day, guys, there's lots of things to improve for my 2 favorite boomers, Bart and Eelco. But there's one thing very important, is that both of the accounts, they're running in profit. They are still competing for 2 tickets to a game of FC Barcelona with one of their kids, and I'm extremely excited to see where this challenge is going towards and the improvements that the both of them are going to make.